some people say that the pop-up is a really crucial part of surfing, but I happen to think it's even more important than that. And unfortunately, there are lots of things that can go wrong with the pop-up. So in this video, I'm going to be running through 7 of the most common mistakes that people make and solutions on how to fix them. So error number 1, and this is the worst mistake you can possibly make when you're popping up, and it is looking down. If you look down, it really affects your balance, and your whole body is going to follow the way of your eyes and your head. And you'll probably wipe out straight away. If you do, by some stroke of luck, manage to pull it off, you'll probably feel that your feet will feel off, your stance will feel funny, and you'll probably have a dissatisfactory ride. So you have to be really disciplined with your eyes. If you're a beginner, when you're popping up, you want to be looking along that wave face. Choose that mid-height line along the wave face. That's going to be the easiest trajectory. And choose a spot that's about 5 meters from the nose of your surfboard, and be really specific with your gaze. So it's like you're looking for a dime in the wave face. You want to be really laser focused. The next error is hand placement. A lot of beginners, when they go to pop up, they bring their hands out in front of their body because they feel this surge of energy from the wave and they feel like they're falling forward. So they bring their hands out in front, but you have very little leverage to lift your body from that position. Other people sometimes will grab the rails as well, but the rails are actually really sensitive to weight, so you don't want to be putting your hands there when you're popping up. So you want to have your hands flat on the deck of the surfboard, have your hands alongside your ribs in the chicken wings position, and feel that tactile reference point. That can really help. So hopefully that's a pretty easy error to fix, that one. The next mistake is people using the knees to pop up with. So sometimes people will add a knee phase to their pop up. Sometimes they'll bring 2 knees onto the board. It looks a little bit like granny getting up from doing the weeding. Or they might use 1 knee, typically the back knee, and that's called the proposal pop up because it looks like you're making a proposal of marriage. It is a little bit controversial to criticize this because there are going to be some students with maybe injuries, and that might be the only viable way that they're going to get up on the board, and that is absolutely fine. However, there are some students and there's no physical reason for them to be using their knees, and they're getting frustrated because they can't take off on steep waves, they can't take off on the peak, they can't do things like bottom turns and top turns because by the time they've clambered up to their feet, that wave has sort of run off without them. So this is aimed at them. And the first thing that I would say is, and this can be a slightly bitter pill for some, but dry land pop-ups are really, really effective. So maybe doing 10 on the sand before every surf session or 10 on your bedroom floor every night. Really try and get good technique stuck into your muscle memory and try and override that old knee habit. Also, getting on a bigger board, that can help a lot, that extra stability. Sometimes slowing down the pop-up, because when we're frantic and rushing, we can be a little bit vulnerable to errors. So slowing it down, just sort of focusing on making it nice and smooth. Also maybe having a mantra and saying to yourself, back foot, front foot, and even vocalize that as you're popping up. Don't worry about what other people think. They can't even hear you, they won't even care, but just saying it out loud, it can be that just last second reminder to you to not use the knees. Our next error is the feet placement. Now this is quite a wide ranging area. I want to focus on just one aspect of it, and it is people that don't quite get their front foot far forward enough. So their front foot doesn't land in between their hands. It's called front footitis because it's very commonplace. Now this could be a hip flexibility issue, and okay if that's the case, you're probably not going to fix that over the course of just one surf session. You're going to have to think about doing something like yoga, pigeon posture, that is excellent. But some other things that you can think about are, make sure you're focusing on the twist aspect of your pop-up, because if I pop up and I don't twist, then yeah, my front foot also gets stuck. But if I pop up and I really think about twisting, then there's something about that motion that helps me to get my front foot forward. Make sure that you're keeping the weight in the shoulders and the arms, that you're keeping the weight forward. As soon as my shoulders start going behind my hands, then it's really difficult for me to get my front foot forward. Make sure that you're keeping this back leg nice and bent, because if you straighten up this leg, well, the body, it's sort of like a seesaw, and the chest and the head will go down, and then you won't have any room or enough room to bring that front leg forward. So, you know, keep your head up, look up, going back to our original point. Make sure that you create lots of space under your chest so that you can bring that front foot into the right position. And I remember when I was learning to surf, I had to really think about sort of pulling that knee into my chest, like really sort of sucking it in. I'm not the most flexible person in the world, unfortunately. So, but over time it's sort of become smoother and easier, and I don't have to think about it anymore. But definitely in the beginning, I had to really think about giving that front knee a bit of oomph. The next mistake that people make is not twisting. I know I touched on this a little bit in that previous point, but it's important, so I wanted to give it its own point. If you don't twist when you pop up, you come into what's called ski stance, and then you're sort of trying to balance across the width of the board instead of along the length of the board, so it's really difficult. So there are quite a few drills that we use to encourage people to really twist as they pop up. But the main thing I like to tell people is just channel your inner Shakira. You've really got to twist those hips. It's a 90-degree twist with the hips. So don't be repressed through your hips when you're popping up. Really think about getting that front bum cheek and pointing it at the beach. The next mistake is called the Jack in the Box. So this is done by people who are very excited and very enthusiastic about popping up. And what they do is they pop up, they straight away stand up, and they go whee, and they're probably going to fall, wipe out straight away. So you want to pop up and pause in this surfer's crouch position, and make sure you've got your chest and your head up. Take a split second there, maybe even count to 2. Go 1, 2, either out loud or in your head, and then stand up slowly. And that's going to give you really good stability on your surfboard. And then the final error is called bad preparation. So this is what happens before the pop-up. A lot of people, when they lie on their board, it's like they're at a Sunday picnic and they lie there like a sack of potatoes. But you really want to have a nice active and engaged body when you're lying on your board and when you're paddling your board. So maybe have a checklist in your mind that you run through: head up, chest up, core engaged, butt engaged, legs together, feet together. I always think of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz and those red slippers, and she would tap them together, and that visual just reminds me to have my feet together. Because if you try to pop up and you've not had your feet together at the back of the board, it's very likely that your feet won't land properly on the stringer, and you might think that that's an error with your pop-up, but actually the root of the problem is bad preparation. So you must make sure you've got your shit together when you're lying on your surfboard. Okay, I hope that was useful for you. If you want to find out more about the surfing and yoga retreats here in Costa Rica, check out the website, puravidaadventures.com. If you like this video, you can subscribe to the channel. It gives us a little boost, and it means you'll stay up to date with the latest how-to videos. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.